ladies. T-Pain hopes each and every one of you finds a man one day that looks at you the way Tucker Carlson looks at Vladimir Putin. Howdy, brothers and sisters. This is T-Pain USA, and welcome to the Really American T-Cast. How about we start out on the good foot today with a like and a subscribe. Now, like they say in New Orleans, laissez les bon temps rouler, which means let the good times roll. Let's get started, shall we?
Why is it worse to ask about it than it is to do it?
Because people are dying on the front lines. You think it's a joke?
Why do I care? Why do I care what's going on in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? And I'm serious. Like, why do I care?
I'll tell you why.
And why shouldn't I root for Russia, which I am?
You got to give it up for Tucker, folks. He fights as hard for his mother country as he does for his man. T-Pain would like to say that Tucker Carlson's the kind of weasel that gives weasels a bad name. But folks, that just ain't fair to weasels. As a matter of fact, T-Pain can't think of any living creature with enough negative attributes to rightly compare Tucker Carlson to. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, which coincidentally is Tucker's favorite form of relaxation, you probably know he's fresh off an interview with Vladimir Putin, where he asked all the tough questions like, what's your favorite color? Or why are you so good at hockey? And along with, is Russian food as delicious as they say it is? Now, in the clip you just heard, Tucker declares he don't care about the countless lives lost in Ukraine and that he is cheering on Russia to crush its democratic neighbor. Folks, we're talking about innocent civilians, women and children. And this statement, at best, is sociopathic. And suffice it to say, whenever Tucker watches Star Wars, he cheers for the Empire.
Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway.
Well, what do you know? Tucker's shamelessly trying to turn Putin's propaganda machine into a First Amendment issue. Old Tuck's tirelessly fighting tooth and nail to make sure Vladimir Putin's First Amendment rights ain't infringed upon, while MAGA zombies will nod their heads up and down in agreement. But the last time T-Pain checked, Vladimir Putin ain't an American citizen. You know, maybe we should talk about freedom of speech in Russia. T-Pain has it on good authority that Russians are totally free to praise Vladimir Putin anytime and as much as they like. And folks are also free to criticize Putin too. As a matter of fact, Putin is so fair-minded that he immediately gives them folks free government housing. Heck, sometimes he even springs for their last meal too. Maybe old Tucker's right. Russia truly sounds like a political paradise, don't it?
You didn't talk about freedom of speech in Russia. You did not talk about Navalny, about assassinations, about the restrictions on opposition in the coming elections.
I didn't talk about the things that every other American media outlet talks about.
Why?
Exclusively.
Yes, this
because
is my
those
question.
are covered, and because I have spent my life talking to people who run countries in various countries and have concluded the following, that every leader kills people, including my leader. Every leader kills people. Some kill more than others. Leadership requires killing people. Sorry.
Admit it, folks. You could see Tucker cutting through a door with an axe like Jack Torrance and saying, "It's Johnny!" Did you hear the crapola about why he didn't ask old Vlad about political assassinations and putting Alexei Navalny in prison? He says because it's been covered before. What a load of horse hockey. Tuck had the unique opportunity to go toe-to-toe, face-to-face, mano-a-mano with the Dark Lord himself, but all he could do was swoon and giggle like a little schoolgirl. By the way, have you noticed Tucker has the unmitigated gall to refer to himself as a journalist? That's like calling Jeffrey Dahmer a humanitarian.
I went from amused to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought, corruption. If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized. We're not making any of this up, by the way, at all.
Whew! Tucker's as slippery as old Houdini on this one. He really wants us to think that the cost of living in Russia is 1/4 that of the United States. But while he's being 100% open and honest with us, he forgets to tell you little facts like the average income in Russia is $14,700, where in the good old US of A, it's twice that at $31,000 and some change. He also kind of forgot to tell you that the Russian economy is shrinking 4 to 5% a year, while the US economy grows by a robust 3% annually. Also notice what Tucker didn't show you? The actual groceries he bought. We're left to take his word for it. All you see is Tucker's lips a-flapping and a quick cut to a cash register tally. But listen to the last thing he says in this clip. I'm not making this up, by the way, at all. When a fella has to go to the trouble to tell you he's not lying to you, rest assured, folks, he's lying to you. Now, before T-Pain forgets, he's got to tip his hat to a senator from North Carolina, Thom Thillis, for pointing out in this tweet that we saw exactly what Tucker Carlson is, a useful idiot.
Yeah, well, when I first heard that he was there, I just assumed he was there to get an award because there probably isn't an American who has done more for Vladimir Putin in the last couple of years than Tucker Carlson. He's sided with Russia on the invasion. He was consistently berating Vladimir Zelensky and lifting up Putin. So that's how he got the interview. And I think Putin's expecting a friendly interview. You know, Putin actually order the Kremlin did state TV to cover Tucker and to carry some of Tucker's comments because they viewed them as so helpful to Putin in this war effort. So I'm sure they'll have a warm session, whether it's an award or I guess the interview would be his reward.
The meeting of the Mutual Admiration Society.
Old David Axelrod is 100% right here. Tucker eagerly presented his hind parts to Vladimir for his inspection. He couldn't wait to lay a dead mouse at his master's feet and gift his #1 man crush a good time interview with a guaranteed happy ending.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
Just yesterday, we found out that Alexei Navalny was assassinated in a Russian prison. And even behind bars, Navalny still terrified Russia's little Napoleon. So why did Putin pick yesterday to finally eliminate that threat? It's because his 2 biggest fanboys just foamed the runway for him. The alleged legitimacy Tucker Carlson's interview gave him, coupled with Trump giving him the green light to do whatever the hell he wants, was all Tiny Vlad had to hear. The 2 loudest voices in MAGA world prostrated themselves before Emperor Palpatine.
На сегодняшний день, на мой взгляд, это самый смелый, самый отважный американский журналист, который смело высказывает свое видение, свою позицию.
Такер Карлсон не часто вникает в новостях, но он правду говорит. Поэтому у него, кстати, проблемы в США из-за этого. Он сейчас, насколько я понимаю, сюда приехал. Вот. И не знаю, пустят ли его обратно.
Я очень уважаю за его смелость, я очень уважаю за его нормальное человеческое мнение о том, что происходит на самом деле, за его разумность, за его логику, за его понимание, где добро, где зло. Вот, и что он не боится это все высказывать, несмотря на то, что он живет в стране, которая заварила всю эту, как это сказать, фашистскую кашу.
Меня поразило, скажем так, откровенность, которой он рассказывает о реальных проблемах, которые есть, ну, в данном случае в Соединенных Штатах.
Earlier, we heard old David Axelrod talk about Putin giving Tucker an award for his fealty. Well, here it is. Putin showed his appreciation with this Sputnik Viagra ad praising Tucker's journalistic virility. Now, Tucker, if Russia is the great paradise of freedom you keep insisting it is, T-Pain will pass the plate and folks around here will gladly give up some of their beer money and you can be on a plane tonight. But make no mistake, brothers and sisters, the last place Tucker wants to live is in that Siberian sinkhole. Tucker ain't good to Putin over there either. And old Vlad wants Tucker's traitorous fanny parked in front of American cameras 24/7 spewing his vintage Soviet-era KGB bullcrap all over the American airways. So listen up, Tucker. When the world's most ruthless dictator and America's #1 adversary on the global stage lavishes praise on you, and you lap it up like a hound dog on a ham bone, that makes you an adversary, a bona fide enemy of the United States. And that being said, T-Pain's only got 3 words for you. Go tuck yourself. T-Pain out.